My name is Ursula Reynolds. I'm Professor of Education System at the ETH here in Zurich. My background is in social sciences, that means economic and sociology. From 2005 to 2012, I was Secretary of State for Professional Education and Technology in the Ministry of Economy, Research and Education. This function has contributed significantly to the research priority of our chair, as we do a lot of translational research together with partner countries. Our research group consists of about 20 people. In addition to doctoral students and postdocs, we have scientific and business administration interns. We participate in the training of apprentices at the ETH, and we have civilian servants doing community services in our group. In this short video, we give an insight into selected activities of our group. Research is at the center of these activities, but as you will see, we will also briefly address the teaching and outreach activity. Thank you very much for taking your time to explore our research group. We begin with presenting the work of our PhD students, Filippo Pusterla and Aranya Sritaran.
My name is Filippo Pusterla. I'm a PhD student at the Chair of Education System. My research interests are in the field of economics of education and labor economics. In my PhD thesis, I analyzed the complementarities between vocational education and training and digitalization. Concretely, I use econometrics methods to analyze the role of vocational education and ICT in affecting the productivity of Swiss firms. One of the findings of my research, which I also presented at international conferences and workshops, suggests that the use of information technology is complementary to workers with a tertiary vocational education. In contrast, communication technology is especially complementary to workers with a tertiary academic education. Besides working on my thesis, I also get the chance to contribute to the translational research conducted by the chair. For instance, I'm currently working at a cost-benefit analysis of a pilot project of dual education in Serbia. These translational projects are extremely interesting to me, as they allow to link the research we conduce at ETH with relevant policy questions.
My name is Aranya Sritaran. I am a second-year PhD student at the Chair of Education Systems at ETH Zurich. My research topic is higher education in Switzerland, where I look at the value of and returns to tertiary education. My work is mostly quantitative, which means that I work a lot with data analysis. The broader realm of my PhD is education economics. Hence, I look at the labor market returns, wage structures, and choice mechanisms in education. However, since I am a sociologist by training, I am also interested in classical theories which influence how we look at education in society. One of my projects revolves around the role of uncertainty and misinformation in educational choice making. We developed an extensive online survey that was conducted among DET graduates in Switzerland. We wanted to know if uncertainty about eligibility or misinformation about graduate wages influence the choice for or against tertiary education. In another project, we looked at the social status of different tertiary education programs. Hereby, we survey firms, precisely their personnel that is responsible for hiring mechanisms. By presenting them fictional applications, we want to see whether applicants with a university degree are preferred to those with a PhD degree. Aside from my dissertation, I engage in different projects and tasks for the chair. My main duty is the administrative and supervisory tasks for our civil servants. I arrange interviews, fill the slots, and I am responsible for the onboarding process within our chair. With the help of our CVs, each year we publish several education system fact books where we give an insight of a country's education system.
LELAM project operates in collaboration with ETH Zurich, Switzerland, and is funded by Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, SDC, and Swiss National Science Foundation, SNSF, under the Swiss Program for Research on Global Issues for Development, R4D.
Hello, my name is Patrick MacDonald, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Chair of Education Systems. My background is in labour market sociology, and so my research interests in the chair involved the transition from education into the labour market, and in particular how personal characteristics can affect this transition. I'm also the coordinator of the Lelam TVET for Income project. This project is interested in understanding under what conditions TVET, so technical vocational education and training, can improve youth labour market outcomes in low and middle income countries. To answer this question, we here at the Chair of Education Systems, with our partners in development economics at ETH and in our partner countries in Benin, Chile, Costa Rica and Nepal, have developed analytical tools, both theoretical and empirical, to better understand the education and labour market situation in each of the countries. So we have the Education Employment Linking Index, the Youth Labour Market Index for low income countries, and also a project to better understand the social institutions that govern the functions that make sure that TVET can work as well as it possibly can in these countries. But another really important aspect of this project is the translational nature of the research. And so how we manage to move this from research into actuality. And to demonstrate that a little bit, we've got two video clips to show you. The first one is a video that was made about the Lelam project in Nepal. And the second one is a roundtable discussion that happened in Benin with Professor Ursula Reynolds about TVET in that country. It's in French, but the Lelam project in Nepal video is in English. Nevertheless, I hope you find them both useful and informative.
Thus, linking education and labor markets, Lelam TVET for Income project was launched aiming to understand how policymakers in low and middle income countries can improve the youth labor market situation by strengthening social institutions and their interdependence with formal, non-formal, and informal TVET.
Très tôt, qui est très important. Et puis après, si vous êtes 20 ans et si vous avez une volonté d'aller à l'université ou de faire plus, vous avez la chance en Suisse. Le système suisse est très perméable. Ça veut dire, soit vous faites comme un enfant à 15 ans, vous pouvez aller à l'échelle n'importe où vous voulez. Et ça, c'est le grand avantage, je pense, en Suisse.
The Lelam project has extensive cooperation with stakeholders in the education and employment systems around the world, but particularly in the partner countries. Each year, each of the partner countries sends a delegation to the Semet Summer Institute right here at the Centre of Education Systems in Zurich, which is another really important forum for collaboration and improvement of education systems around the world. To talk more about that, I'm happy to hand over to Dr. Katie Caves.
Education and training are crucial, but there's not a lot of good evidence to support systems engineering. Semet is a reform lab working directly with countries all over the world to help them develop and implement reforms that will help young people successfully enter the labor market.
Das sind alles Leute, die unser Berufsbildungssystem gerne im eigenen Land anwenden würden.
The system here in Switzerland, especially the education system, is very astounding for me. There's another option that is given for students to pursue their dreams. And I think it's something that is really worthwhile, especially to care toward the needs of the economy, the nation, and as well as the young generation.
The Swiss education system is very interesting to me because it really demonstrates how business and industries or firms need to be critically involved in the education, the training for their future workforce. But at the end of the day, regardless of your path, either formal education, VET, you get to a point where you have to stand on your own as a student or a young person and compete for jobs. So I think that was very refreshing to me, that it's not a guarantee that if you go to the Swiss apprenticeship model that you have a career or a job for life. There's still work to be done by you, owning the skills and the learning so that you can make it relevant to the job you wish to attain.
Thank you so much, Ursula. First of all, we really appreciate you flying in from Zurich for less than 3 days to spend time with us, not only here today at this luncheon, but with our core planning team, as we're now rolling up our sleeves and trying to work on designing a system that's statewide, high quality, scalable, and then also regional pilots that can be proof points in Indiana. So thank you so much, really appreciate it. So I spent 10 intensive days with you along with 8 other folks on our team who I can see in front of me here. And it was a lot of information. I felt like I learned a lot. You just went through decades of research in 25 minutes. So let's spend just a few minutes on kind of the foundational components of what you've just shared with us to make sure everyone else has a chance to let it sink in. So the term apprenticeship, that has a particular meaning in the United States. Typically, it's the registered apprenticeship that you mentioned. It's people out of high school. It tends to be in construction, the trades, manufacturing. So when you're using the term apprenticeship, what do you actually mean by that?
That's a very good point. Basically, in Switzerland, we mean a student, a vocational education training student, who is basically opting for a formal degree accepted by the education system. It's like Intel Inside in the computer. We say it's apprenticeship inside. That means apprenticeship is just part of it. It's a part in the industry.
Hello, my name is Thomas Bali. I am a postdoc at the chair since 2013. I have an economic background and I like to apply statistical methods to real-life problems. One example is a project in which we are surveying students who are doing a vocational baccalaureate after finishing an apprenticeship in a school called ACAD. In this school, the students have the choice between 3 options. And these options differ in terms of the distance learning percentage. One option has 50% of distance learning, one has 75%, and one has 100% distance learning. Now we survey students in the beginning of the study and in the end of the study, and we combine this information with administrative data about study success. And combining these 2 data sources allows us to analyze how the percentage of distance learning affects study success, and how this relationship depends on personal characteristics such as age and self-effectiveness. This project is particularly important in the current time where understanding the effectiveness of distance learning has become very important.
When Switzerland went into shutdown in spring of 2020, our team knew that not just our work would be disrupted, but also the work of apprentices in Switzerland. And we initiated a research project thanks to a lot of teamwork and extra work from everyone involved. And since April, since before the end of the shutdown, we have been surveying about 50,000 companies every single month through our partnership with UST. And we have been reporting results every single month on how 3 groups of apprentices are doing in Switzerland. The first group is students who are planning to do an apprenticeship but were applying when COVID hit and when the shutdown started. The second group is young people who are doing an apprenticeship and had their training interrupted, maybe moved to working from home, maybe got no training at all for some period of time. The third group is young people who were finishing an apprenticeship in the spring of 2020 and who had both their final qualification procedures and also their entry onto the labor market severely disrupted by the pandemic and all of its effects. This research project has enabled us to communicate directly with policymakers, journalists, and people involved in the Swiss apprenticeship system, and it's enabled us to give them concrete and evidence-based information that they can use as they try to cope with the pandemic. We've also had the privilege of testifying before Swiss Parliament based on this data, and we continue to collect and report data, and we will continue to do so at least until April of 2021, probably longer. The research project not only involves the collection of a massive quantity of data at around 2,500 companies every month, representing more than 20,000 apprentices every single month, that we can use to answer further research questions and further policy relevant questions for how things are going in Switzerland. But this is also setting us up for a lot of research down the road about the importance of workplace learning, possible innovations in vocational education and training, and more information about how apprenticeship rebounds or is resilient to or deals with economic disruptions. So this project has been a massive exercise in teamwork for our team, but we're very excited about the information we're collecting and the results we've published so far, and most importantly, the results that we will be able to publish in the future.
Welcome back. Teaching is one of our core tasks of our group. As part of the MTEC activities, we offer a module in the Master of Science program, as well as in the Certificate of Advanced Study program. In 2021, we will also offer a lecture on economic principles in the Bachelor program of the ETH. This is a collaboration with the department USIS. In collaboration with the University of Geneva, we contributed to a MOOC called Global Statistic Composite Indicators for International Comparisons, where we provided an example of the challenges in creating such composite indicators.
We selected indicators based on 3 criteria. First, they need to reflect a labor market outcome. Second, it has to be clear whether a low or high value is desirable. And third, the data needs to be available.
Teaching also occupies us in selected research projects. For example, we are working together with our partners from the D-MTEC for income countries to develop a Master in Science program for technical vocation and education training management. In Nepal, the 3rd cohort is already undergoing training, and in Costa Rica, a similar program is being planned. Our research group offers selected modules. The following video clip gives a brief insight into that program.
One of the most important activities is Masters in Technical and Vocational Education Training, MTVET program. Masters in Technical and Vocational Education Training, MTVET, is a pioneer program that Kathmandu University School of Education began in 2018. The program focuses on preparing educators, managers, researchers, and entrepreneurs in the field of technical and vocational education.
In addition to activities presented so far, we are pursuing a variety of outreach activities. These include academic and non-academic lectures and webinars in Switzerland and abroad, participation in panel discussion with stakeholder groups from our project partners, and dissemination of research findings in journals and newspapers. We also take part in radio and TV broadcasts in Switzerland and abroad. Our team also includes people doing civilian service. Those civilian servants work together with members of our team and create so-called fact books on education system. These are publicly available and help policymakers, NGOs, and other actors involved in education system engineering to get a quick overview of the political and economic situation of a country, as well as of its education system as a whole.
If you analyze the labor market, what they really need, if you analyze your education system from time to time, you realize that a substantial...
Primjene našeg dualnog sistema, da li ste zadovoljni?
Yes, thank you very much for this important question. Yes, it's feasible here. What are the conditions under which we can improve the situation of the young generation
If we can build together a movement, we will do something very important for the next generation. Thank you very much for listening.